So tonight we continue with our discussion. We're focusing on starting work when you've done all the CV and you prepared, and then you've gone for the interview, and then you land yourself the job. Then what next? That's just the beginning of the journey. Okay. So landing a job, what do you do next? And we've been covering this month the first 90 days, what you need to think of in the first 90 days. And it's always good to have this, this information in hand, because right now we all move about quite quickly. Whether you've done 2 years in a role, you might want to move to another job. So it's nice to have this conversation and also learn on what you could do better. So if, for example, you had a bad experience before, going forward, you have a better one with this sort of information that we're sharing on the platform. So, lost at work, how to succeed when expectations are unclear. Last week we covered, why those expectations might be unclear. We covered a lot of things around bad onboarding, not having a manager that's communicating with you, not being told what to do, just being left in the deep end. We covered all that. So tonight we're just going to be looking straight at expectations. What do you do when those expectations are misaligned? Now, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and on LinkedIn. When you type in Career Clinic Net, excuse me, you can follow me on any of the social media platforms, and also on TikTok. I'm there 7 p.m. every Tuesday. And you might want to share this as well with your colleagues and friends as well. And even if you have young adults at home as well, especially those that are just graduating from university, a lot of them don't have any clue about what they are getting themselves into finding a job. So it's always a bit of a shock. But the more information we're able to share with them, the better their experience would be. And they can start planning their career from now, not later. They start planning it from now. Okay. So tonight we're going to look at what are workplace expectations, especially the ones in the UK. What are the workplace expectations in the UK? And also you can join in the conversation as well, please. For those of us that have experience already. How to succeed when expectations are unclear. We cover that. And then I wanted to also give some nuggets and tips for career returners. If you're returning to work after a long break, or you're switching, you're looking for another job in another industry, or you just want a promotion, or you are a newcomer. So again, I'll share some tips of what we need to really remember to do and what we should be careful about. And then we'll go through our 30, 60, 90-day framework again so that we're clear. And this time we can have a conversation around it, and you can ask me any of the questions that you probably comes to your mind. Okay. So first of all, let's have a conversation. I always like this to be very interactive. What workplace expectations has confused you the most? So let's have a conversation about that. Okay. What workplace expectation has confused you the most? Anybody wants to take it, just talk about it. I have mine, because there's no way you work in any country or even in any industry. There would always be some areas in the workplace that just doesn't settle down with you. Anybody wants to take it? What workplace expectation has confused you the most? Anybody? Yeah, we're just 4 of us. Is it 5 of us on here? Yeah, 4 of us on here. So let's have that conversation. Have you had any particular experience that just didn't sit well with you? It took a bit of time for you to understand why they were doing it that way. I'm waiting. Think about it. Yeah. Go ahead.
I can relate it to my new role.
Okay.
In my old roles, I was doing a lot of teaching, mentoring, training, and all sorts. And then it's the same title for the role with the new employer. But I realized that their focus area or their priorities is not training and teaching and mentoring, which is supervision.
Wow.
Would be my kind of like bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're kind of, because of the commissioning of service and funding and all that. So they want us to be more aligned with children's social care. So means I have to be participating in multi-agency meeting, and it's just rapid. At the drop of a hat, you have to be called to go into a meeting straight away and report record.
Wow.
So, and then I was hoping I'm being recruited to change culture around safeguarding needs, and I'll be training, I'll be, bring
Yeah.
them up to date and all that. Although the gap is there, but I'm just confused.
Wow.
you know,
It's a big one. So the job itself has got training in it. What's the title of the role?
yeah, it's called Safeguarding Children Advisor.
Ah,
But one of
wow.
the priority areas is training and mentoring, which
And
I
mentoring. So,
did very well in my other role, in my
wow.
other job. But now in this role, it means that it's like being packed. And then I have
Wow.
to focus on strategic meetings and,
Wow.
multi-agency meeting and all that, which is good. I did that in my old role, but it wasn't.
Mm,
But this is where we were being told the local commissioners put their money and it's got to be done. It's a priority, and it's in the beginning it was giving me a headache, but when I started coming to your session, I thought, okay, Helen, have an open
turn
mind.
it around. Yes. Yes. Well done. Because you need to be adaptable. We
Mm,
have to understand that there's so many pressure right now, especially in the public sector in the UK. There's so
mm,
much pressure, and managers are having to, twist and turn. They also have to twist and turn. They're just told you have to do this, and then you have to
mm-hmm,
get all your staff to do it. You know.
mm-hmm,
So the strategy stuff for you is very good. It's a great opportunity for you to also step into that area. Welcome, Irene and Philippa. Thank you for joining tonight. We're having conversations tonight just about what workplace expectations has confused you the most. And Helen has just told us she just started a new role, and part of real core expertise is now being left on the burner for now because it's been taken into another area of the work, which happens to a lot of us. And that's why I love this conversation, because we need to know how to turn these circumstances around for our benefit. You don't walk away, you don't just throw in the towel and say, I'm out of here. Not necessarily every time that you do that, but the opportunities that you also have to see and really use that opportunity to also grow. So that's the conversation. Anybody wants to share their own as well? Any area? Yeah. Out for myself, for example, I mean, twice now I've gone into a role where the job description doesn't match doesn't match what I'm doing. In fact, I have to redesign the role. All right. I have to redesign the role, have to begin to communicate what I think the role should be to my directors. So it's really, can you just imagine that? So it's situations where you could go in and just think, this is not what I bargained for, I'm out of here. But I just thought, well, I'm going to own it. If you remember last week, we spoke about that. We spoke about owning. You need to own that situation and turn it around for your own good. So you begin to look at how you can develop it so that that role becomes relevant. Okay. And it's a great opportunity. I want to take one more person. Any one more person? Thank Sister Temi Topper, you're here. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Ma.
Okay, so we're talking about what workplace expectation has confused you the most. Haven't come into the new role or any experience you've had within a new role. Anybody wants to have another example? Another example would be great. And how are you dealing with it? I mean, or how did you deal with it? Yeah. So, for example, you've been told you are coming in to sell bread, and then you get there and they're telling you, oh, you have to start prescribing drugs to people. For you know. Anybody else wants to take it? All right, we're going to move on. Okay. Now, so today is about what do you do? So let's talk about expectations to start with. What are workplace expectations in the UK, especially? This is generic, really, but in the UK, right? So, workplace expectations are standards, behaviors, responsibilities, and outcomes that an organization, a manager, or a team expects from an employee. So they expect you to actually work in a particular way, behave in a particular way deliver your work in a particular way. And they may be formal or informal. The formal aspect of it is in the job description. Employment contract will have some information about your behavior, what they expect you to do when you come to work. They will write that in your contract. Okay. For those that think it doesn't matter, you don't need to read your contract. You should read your contract. You should read everything the organization sends to you, because you might have some questions for clarity. Okay. Now, performance objectives as well is part of that formal aspect. So they will let you know, for example, if you're starting a new role, most roles will give you a 3 months probation where they want you to have settled down and start performing by the third month. That is 90 days. You should have start performing in that role. So these are all formal expectations. And then the policies and the procedures are also expectations. I know I have a lot of senior clinicians on this platform right now, practitioners. You live and breathe policies and procedures every single time. There are protocols to follow. There are reports to write. There's escalation point that you need to know. So many things to protect yourself and also to protect the organization. There's a lot of expectations in the jobs in the UK. The standards are very high. Okay. Especially in the Western world anyway, they're quite high. So you need to understand them. And then you have the informal expectations, okay, which is the culture, the workplace culture, the different things you can think about. For example, I work for 100% online from home. And so the workplace culture is you always have to have your camera on. Some of us now are also having a background with the company details behind there. I've not done it yet, but it's not compulsory. Nobody holds you to it. You can do it, you might not do it. That's culture. In some organizations, they'll tell you before you must have a background with the company logo behind you before you present yourself to any customer. But it's very loose in my organization. So that's culture, workplace culture. Team behaviors, um, for people that are still going, if you still have one-on-one interaction with people, then you understand that team behavior is very important. Simple thing like, who actually used the milk in the fridge. Is my milk? I put my name on it. Why are you using my milk? Things like that. So team behaviors depends in any organization. Sometimes is free. Milk can be free in the fridge, or sometimes everybody has to put their milk in there and label it. So little behaviors that really helps you to have a good working relationship with your colleagues, or makes you have a bad relationship with your colleagues, but these are all informal expectations. And then you have communication styles. In some organizations is mainly emails. In some organizations is telephone, they call each other, or they're on WhatsApp group now where they can chat to each other. Okay. So there are different communication styles, and these are all you need to adjust. You need to understand what is the communication style in this organization. Do people rely more on emails? Do they rely more on just talking on the phone, or maybe meeting at the corridor? So there's so many unwritten rules, but you need to understand what they are. Okay, you need to understand, because this adds up to you settling down in that environment. Okay, it adds up to what they expect you to do. So if they expect you to send an email, copying everybody in the team, and you keep sending an email to only one person in the team, that can create a problem. That can create you not being seen as effective in your work. Tiny little things like that. So we need to pay attention to what really is the expectations in this organization. What am I expected to do? And that's why last week we spoke about conversations, questions you need to be asking your boss, so that you are very, very comfortable, with clearing up that, area of expectations. You know exactly what your boss expects of you. Okay. So in the UK, in the UK workplace, employees are often expected to demonstrate reliability. Okay. Very important. Reliability is very important, meaning that you are able to be, they can rely on you. Can rely on you to deliver your work on time. They can rely on you to speak about your the work you're doing to other colleagues. They expect professionalism. Okay, professionalism is not being emotionally attached to work, right? It's a job that you are doing. Don't get over emotional about it. Some people just get over emotional. They take all the issues home. They come back to work in the morning. They are upset. They are not happy. All these things. You don't need to get yourself to that point. Professionalism means it's a job, okay? And you have clear expectations in that role, and you're able to deliver a role. You don't get into, pity party and getting yourself all messed up with emotional issues, behavioral issues. You don't need it. You don't need to do that. And that's all part of maturity and growth, okay? So in the UK workplace, employees expect you to take initiative. All right. They expect you to take initiative. They can't be spelling everything out for you. One, two, three, A, B, C. No, you need to take initiative. You need to be able to say, oh, actually, I could do this in a different way. All right. Okay. Or let me engage another department. They know better than us. You need to use your initiative to get the job done. All right. These are key expectations that the UK employees would expect using your own initiative. I'm going to welcome those that just joined us. D, you're welcome. Tinola, you're welcome as well. I can see you. Well done. Yeah, you're welcome to the platform tonight. Now, the other one is collaboration. It's not just sitting in one corner and burying yourself in work because you know what you're doing and you're an expert. No, you need to collaborate. You need to talk to people. You need to engage your colleagues, around you. You need to know what is other things happening in the organization. It's not just about one part of the organization, it's the whole part of the organization. All right. And when you begin to collaborate, you start understanding more what that organization is about. You start understanding more the priorities in that organization. So you can engage other people in good conversations about your work. Okay. Respect is important. All right. In the UK, yes, people don't lord it over you. Like, I'm your boss, I'm director of this. They don't lord it over you, but they expect you to respect them because they are above you. Okay. There's an hierarchical system. It's like I said, it's not going to be in your face, but especially for those of us, for those working in the NHS, you all know that hierarchy is a big thing. And if the director talking to you, sometimes some directors will not send you an email because you are two grades below them. It's as strong as that. But you must respect people generally, whether they are, your boss or not. Respect just means being able to give everybody their space and cordially deal with people with maturity. All right. So accountability is also important. All right. You need to be accountable for your actions. You need to be accountable for what they expect you to deliver on. You need to be able to communicate properly. All right. So a lot of the times when people come from abroad and they come here, first challenge is the communication because you can speak English, right? But I'm talking about communication. They're two different things. Speaking English doesn't mean that you are communicating. Okay. So communication is very important. And there are ways of improving all these areas that I've mentioned. Continuous learning. You can go online and learn. You can, I remember many years ago when I started work as well, I didn't know nothing. It was like a deep end for me. So I had to learn very quickly. All right. Not all expectations are written down. You need to know that. Many are learned through observation and experience. So you need to be observant at work. If you are working in a team, you should know who in this team is calling the shots. It's not necessarily the manager of the team that is really making those decisions. There's always somebody that is the influencer in that team, and what they say carry more weight than the manager. It's not always the manager that is moving things around. So you need to understand who that is. Okay. So those are unwritten things. On paper, yes, the manager, reports, you report to manager reports to director. Yeah. But sometimes it just doesn't flow that way. So they're unwritten rules, there are written things that you need to observe and you need to understand. Okay, so these are very important in the UK workplace, right? This is what we'll always encounter these points. So how to succeed when expectations are unclear, right? So the first thing that I want us to look at is seeking clarity, and we've covered that quite a lot in different ways. But I want you to always ask yourself the question, what are my priorities? Okay, what are my priorities? Okay, you have to ask yourself that as soon as you start settling down into the role, you need to know what those priorities are. Okay, what is expected of you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and what you need to deliver on. Yeah, and then I did say, I think I was saying this on TikTok as well. What does success look like? Okay, in that your job, in your role, what does success look like? All right, because you can have a lot of indicators, performance indicators, that doesn't point to what success looks like, and that happens a lot at work. If you don't think thoroughly about your work and what you're doing, you'll be surprised that even your manager might mislead you if you're not asking the right questions. So you need to make sure you're seeking clarity very early as you start the work. Then how will performance be measured? That's very important. How is performance going to be measured? Okay, you need to define that. Sometimes performance is measured on a daily basis, sometimes it's measured on a monthly basis. We don't really know, but when you know the priorities, you'll be able to point those performance to those priorities. Yeah, what should I focus on first? This is very important. So a lot of us get so busy, you know, we get so busy that if you're not careful, when it's time for you to now sit down in front of your manager and begin to look at the objectives and what you've done, you find that you've just been busy for nothing. You've just been busy, busy. And so especially if there's a lot of movement in the team and there's other managers that's coming in to take your time and they're giving you things to do that doesn't really relate to what your priorities are, you'll find it difficult to then say, at the point where you are meant to now report on your performance, this is what I've done. So it's very important to get everything clear, crystal clear. Don't have ambiguous objectives. Have objectives that are smart so you can measure them. They have time attached to them. And you can then say, this is what I've done. All right. And it's important for you to start now because you keep the log of those things so that you're able to deliver with evidence. Okay. A lot of times, when I've not had a lot of bad managers, I've been quite blessed. I've not really had a lot of bad managers, but one or two times when I've had bad managers, they never cut me out because I'm always ready. I manage them in my meetings, in the meetings where we're meant to have a one-to-one. I make sure I manage that meeting by sending an email to them, say we have a meeting on this day next week. I would like us to cover 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm already positioning myself to lead that meeting. I'm not allowing the manager to lead it because he might not cover what I need to cover. So that's a tip for somebody there. You send that email. Oh, I'm looking forward to our meeting on Wednesday. I just wanted to let you know these are the few things that I have on my agenda to discuss with you. You already set the scene. So the manager knows you know what you're doing and you know what you want from them. Okay. Don't be that person that goes to a meeting and the manager just, you don't have any agenda, And if there's nothing to say in the meeting, you just let her know, oh, we have a meeting on Wednesday. I know it's for 30 minutes. I don't really have anything to cover, but I'll be coming anyway. Let her know that you haven't got much to cover. And that meeting can either be rescheduled or instead of 30 minutes, you have 10 minutes. It's all about effectiveness. We're not having meetings just because for having meetings sake. If there's nothing to discuss, there's nothing to discuss. So be that person that really takes ownership and you're able to manage your workload, in a professional manner. Okay, that's very important. Right. The second strategy is, being proactive. All right. You have to be proactive. You have to be proactive. You can't just say because your manager hasn't sent you. She's telling other people she wants to meet with them, but she's not told you she wants to meet with. So I come. That's a headache. It's not my headache. No, you need to be proactive. Don't get yourself into any emotional attachment about work. It's professionalism means that you don't wait for clarity. All right. You take action. You ask for feedback. If you have a manager that doesn't give you feedback, ask for the feedback. Oh, I just done this presentation. I know you didn't have enough time to feedback about the presentation. How did it go? How did that presentation go? Schedule check-ins. Like I said, don't wait for her to or he to send you a time in the diary. Schedule it yourself. Put it in their diary. Send them an email. and then confirm the priorities. Oh, this next 3 weeks, we're going to be looking at this, and this is what is going I'm doing, just to let you know. Just check in. This is what I'm doing right now. Is this aligned with what you are also doing? Always check in. All right. Be proactive, and communicate your progress, especially if when you start at work. Sometimes, managers, without them doing it on purpose, they can just leave you to get on with it and forget to, ask you for how are you? What are you doing now? You'll be the one to send the email. If it's not coming from your manager, send an email at the end of your first month to say, oh, I just wanted to let you know, thank you. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the things that are left for me to complete. Be proactive. Yeah, it tells your manager that you are someone that is effective, you are somebody that's organized, and you know what you're doing. Okay, so it's very, very important, okay, to do that. So that's the second strategy, manage upwards. We covered that last week as well, but I'm just going further down. Strategy three is observe. I've mentioned a bit of that at the beginning when we started this, how to observe the culture. There's the meeting behavior, there's the decision making. Now, let's talk about decision making. All right. There's always a culture of decision making. Sometimes decision making are always very abrupt. Suddenly, you just hear at the meeting, oh, we have to do this, and that before the end of the week, and you're thinking, who made that decision? We still have a lot of work to do. We haven't even gathered all the information yet. So who's making the decision here? Okay, so sometimes you have to observe that culture and observe how to engage in the conversation. So I'll give you an example of what is happening in my workplace right now. So we're a software company. That's what we do. But we sell solution to the healthcare services. That's what we do. Yeah. But we have different products. So sometimes customers are confused because we know we have, share care record, we have population health, as a product, as a product. We also have remote monitoring for patients as well. And then we have the personal health record as well. So all these are different products that are there. But actually, we're a solution provider. We help you to bring these things together to solve problems. That's what we do. So I see ourselves as a solution provider. So, but I noticed that we're always so consumed with what the customers need. We're never really focused on, our products and how we can use that product to define and unlock some solutions for the customer. So I was thinking, initially I wanted to send an email. So there was a big presentation, and initially I wanted to send an email to one of the directors, but I just thought, no, maybe let me listen more. So what I'm saying is sometimes you need to observe the culture, you need to know more. Because sometimes you are coming from an area of what you already know, but you don't really see the full picture. So sometimes you have to observe more and be a bit patient to really understand who are the people having this conversation. Where can I take this conversation to? Okay. So today I had an opportunity where I had a couple of directors on the platform, and I was able to show that question to them about. So we have opportunities now in the NHS. They are all talking about digital solutions. How are we going to make our offering easier for the customer? And bang, they were all coming up with ideas, and some were saying, "Oh, we never thought about it before." We da, 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 da. But I just wanted to bring that conversation out, not because I have a solution, but I wanted to know where are they? Are they seeing what I'm seeing? All right. So sometimes you might just see a problem, or or you see an opportunity. You don't wait until you understand it more before you throw it out into the open. But it means you're observing the culture, you're observing the players, okay, in that environment, the players in that organization, in order to yield some result. And also the fact I'm asking them, they also know that, oh, this lady is not just working and getting money and going. She's interested in actually growing this business. Let's see the opportunity. So decision making is very important. Pay attention to people that make the decisions. Pay attention to them. Try and listen to their voice. Try and understand where they're coming from, and give yourself time to see the full picture. Because a lot of times we don't see in the roles that we are. If you are not in the senior level, you don't really see a lot of the things that are really happening. Okay. And we've covered communication styles as well. Observe that. Team dynamics as well. Observe that. Okay. I remember a while ago I was working with, I had to report to two directors. This was when I was working in NKC many years ago now. And both of them had issues. They had I didn't even realize there was issues beforehand until I observed that anytime this one says we're going to A, the other one will say we're going to B. Okay, so I'm the only one in the middle. I'm the one that I'm being confused. I'm being put into different places. So I went back to talk to some of my colleagues to find out more. They wouldn't know what I was trying to find out. I just wanted to know what's the history behind this behavior. So of course they've had issues. People knew about their issues long time, and it was becoming really ridiculous. So eventually, I now met another colleague who gave me a tip. She said, "This is what you do. All right. You say yes to this one. Don't say no to her. Right. But you're not going to do what she said. This is the one you're going to do what he said. Yeah. That's how I was able to balance it. So I'll say yes. Yeah. To A, and to the B is the one that really matters. B is the one that has the clout. So B is the one that will complete the what she's told me to do. But the other one, I keep on saying yes and I give her excuses, or eventually what she's told me to do, somebody else has done it. So instead of me saying to her, no, I'm not doing it, and then it becomes like, why I'm your boss? Why are you not doing it? You bring in that observe, talk to your colleagues, find out. Nobody knew what I was having that I was observing and I was asking the right questions, but I knew what I wanted to find out, and I did eventually, and I didn't have any problem. Okay, so observe and learn. Okay, very important. Now it links to building relationships, because relationships always provide, for me, it always provide clarity faster than policies. That example I just shared with you now, can you just imagine if I went into HR to complain? Oh, this director is pushing me here, that one is pushing me here, I don't know what to do. What would have been the outcome? Nothing. They'll just tell me, go and read the policy. If you want to make a complaint, make a complaint. But hey, making a complaint makes the matter worse. Find a solution and find a way out of that situation. Own it and develop something out of it to help yourself. Okay. So mentors are important. Team members, knowing who they are, what role they play. Influencers, they're very important as well. All right. On this platform, I think we spoke a while ago this year. I think we were talking about advocates at work. Having advocates at work. It's nice to have friends, but there's a place to move your friends into an advocate, because when you are not at work, they are talking about you. They're saying, oh, Fola will do that. Actually, oh, she's the one that did it last time. She'll do it better. Leave it for her to come and do it. Yeah. So you have advocates, and you also can be advocates for others in your team. Right. So it's very important to understand these dynamics. You've got the mentors, you've got the team members, you've got the influencers, you've got the decision makers. They're all mixed. So if you look at your team tonight, can you put names to this? Names to this, each of these roles here. Who are the mentors in your team? Who are just the team members? Who are the influencers? Okay, who are the decision makers in the team that you're working with? And if you are part of a senior management team, look at that senior management team and begin to ask the question: who are the mentors here? Who are the people that a lot of people will refer to, they will go to? you know, Either because of their expertise or because of their maybe they've have some recognition, some awards, they've won some awards, or they've just been there for longer. They're the longest, staff in that team. It could be anything. Know who they are. Name them. Put names against them. Okay, you must know them. Very important. Remember what we're talking about on this platform is how to succeed. Okay, how you succeed in your chosen career. All these tips I'm sharing with you is what I do. It's not a This is not book theory. That's why I break it down into levels where you can understand, because you can demonstrate it, you can use it for yourself. Strategy 5 is focus on progress. You don't need perfect clarity to move forward. No, you don't need to be waiting. Some people will stay and want perfection. They want, they need to get the manager to sign this off. They need that. And then you waste all your time waiting for people to sign you off. You're not proactive, right? Um, Proactive by sending an email and saying, oh, the deadline is gone. I've been waiting for you to, to sign this off, but since I've not heard from you because you're busy, I'm now going to I'm now going to sort of hold, just leave this for now so I can focus on other roles. So you are taking charge. You're not allowing the behavior of the manager to hold you down. You are taking charge and saying, "This is the way I work, but I'm just letting you know, since I've not heard from you, I'm going to put this on hold. When you're ready, then we can continue with it. Because obviously I need to focus on other things." You are being proactive, you're being effective. It doesn't matter what the manager says to you. Oh, some people say, "Oh, but you can't say that to your manager because it sounds like you are proud." No, it doesn't. It sounds like you are effective. It sounds like you are professional. Okay, that's what it sounds like. You need enough clarity to take the next step. That's all you need. You just need enough clarity to take your next step. That's what is important. Your next step, enough clarity to take it. You're not looking for a perfect situation because you never get a perfect situation. So we're talking about how you manage the expectations. These are all the tips that you can use to manage the expectation, work it out to favor you and to demonstrate your own ability to manage a very rough environment of wherever you find yourself. Okay, so those are the 5 strategies I want you to think of. Right, so let's have a quick conversation. What aspect of UK workplace culture have you found most surprising or difficult to understand? What aspect of the workplace culture? I'm going to throw that out to everyone. If you want to take it, please just unmute and take it. Remember, we always interact, we talk on this platform. We're not always quiet. I'm not the only one talking. So, what aspect do you find most surprising or difficult? Ellen has already told us some few things tonight about our own work environment, but I just want other people to say something generally about your work environment. Who wants to go first, or I'll start calling names? It's important for us to have this conversation because you find that you're not the only one having the experience. So we can talk about tips and how to work around it. Yeah, Timitapa, you can go.
I'm thinking of an aspect in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, well, for me, I would say sometimes the culture in the SMT, the senior management team, can be most surprising. For example, the example that you share about two team leader or manager, well, not the senior team, senior management that are fighting.
Yeah.
Don't handle that well, imagine what that would have cost. So
Yeah.
sometimes me going into the SMT team now, having some meeting with them, this what we're doing in career clinic is actually helping me.
Good. Thank
Just
God.
you said about that 90 days rules.
Yes.
Just 1 month, 30 days. So beginning from the last time we did that, I was actually using it to ask them some questions.
Good.
So yeah, SMT there can be a lot of surprising culture there. You need to know how to manage that. You cannot shy away from it. You
Yeah.
have to take ownership of it, like you said, take ownership
Yeah.
of the situation and deal with it and observe, ask
Yes.
question, and know
Mhm.
who they are. Each
Yeah.
one of the SMT, because we have different people in there. So you need to
Yeah.
know who they are so that you know who to go to when you need certain in any given situation, or or in a specific situation. Because
Mm.
there are some people that if you go to them, they will either build you or damage you. So you have to
Yeah.
be careful and know. If you know each one of them, you will know who to go to, and that is very, very helpful in senior management as
Thank
you
you so
climb
much.
the ladder.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sis, for
Thank you.
sharing that. It's very important. And I think we're still going to have some sessions looking at senior management specifically for those of us that are already there, some of the things we need to understand. Yeah. Um, exactly. D is saying hard work. Let me read it out. We covered that in one of the sessions as well a while ago. Hard work doesn't get you noticed or promoted. Visibility does. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, however, visibility that makes sense. Be visible in the right way, not in sending a wrong email to the wrong person or breaking some, IG rules in your organization. That will give you visibility, but it's not going to be a good visibility. But talking about what Sister Mitope just said now is important. And I've gone back to this slide. Whatever team that you're in, senior management team, you must know what's the position, where's everybody, who's the mentor here, who's the one that people go to for explanation. There's a mentor in that team. They're team members. We're all team members, but there's a mentor, and then there are influencers in that team. Do you know who they are? Right? Some people, they're in your senior management team. Every Saturday, they are in the park having lunch together with their family, their friends. What do you think? Yeah,
Yes.
they won't show it at the meeting that they know each other or they are so close, but they are very close. So if you go to the wrong person and you start backbiting, you are going to be in trouble because you don't know who you're talking to. Okay, so there are particular things in the senior management team which is all about your professionalism, okay, and your standard of work. When you are able to put yourself at that position to say, this is who I am, this is my level of commitment to my work, people respect that, right? And they really, you have your boundaries around it and they respect that boundary because of what you projected to them. Okay, so it's like if you are a thinker, they will come to you because know you are thinking more than they are thinking. So they want to, even at the end of the meeting, can ask you, you haven't said anything today, can you? What do you want to say? All right. So, and there are decision makers, those that will make the decision at the end of the day. They are the ones pushing the ball around. All right. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else wants to share something that's peculiar? So that's very peculiar to the United Kingdom culture. Is if those that are in the United States would have a different aspect to what we just shared now. Anybody else wants to say something? What aspect do you find surprising and difficult to understand? One more person before we begin to wrap up tonight.
Could I
Oh,
share, please?
lovely. Are you saying something? Who's saying something?
It's Rudo.
Okay, go on, Widow, please.
Yeah. Can I, on the back of what you just shared,
Yes.
I've noticed something in most workplaces.
Yeah.
When you find, this is not a race thing, by the way, but
Yeah.
when you find that in your team there's a black kind of like work colleague, it's almost as if you're not allowed to be close to them. And I don't know how that culture works. It's as if you should not really be seen together. You should be seen, yet the white ones are, good friends and they're open about it. But if it's a, fellow black sister, colleague, it's almost as if you're not allowed to be close. I don't know. Is it just me?
I don't know whether anybody has that experience before. I've never had that experience. Anybody wants to share their experience? What Widow has just said. Have you had that experience before?
It's Philippa
Yeah,
speaking.
Philippa, go ahead.
Yeah, I had an experience, but not in a language in terms of being black or white, but in terms of speaking the same language, I was not allowed to. It's kind of a signal has been sent. Don't talk. I
Yeah.
was working. I speak Portuguese as my first language, and I was working. I had a Brazilian colleague that also speak Portuguese, and
Yeah.
a signal was sent to me to not be too attached to the Brazilian. Yeah, they were fearing that we would be talking in Portuguese or something like that. Yeah, but well, I realized that, and I just, was
Yeah.
my first early days at work. I just positioned myself in the right way. So
Yeah.
I was just talking to everybody and speaking English at the workplace. Make sure
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too attached to the Brazilian, but
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
speak to everybody.
Yeah. So I think Rudo, I think it depends on the culture of the workplace. It's not going to be, these are the unwritten culture, unwritten things
Mm.
that are there, and you need to observe it, and also don't get yourself into unnecessary issues, because one thing I always think about is I don't really have the full picture. If you start at
Yeah.
work, you don't really know what happened before then. You don't know whether there was history of some issues or whatever with the same
Mm,
person. So, but talking to people professionally, I don't think anybody should be against that. Whether you are black, purple, or green, doesn't really matter as long as it's a
mm,
professional conversation. But I would say if the culture is what is accepted in that culture, you need to respect that culture, okay? Because that's where you're working. You don't want to get yourself into other sort of matters in that place. Yeah, that would be my
mm,
take. Because you see, a lot of times, what has been permitted before I started the organization, my job is not for me to go there to change it. That's not my job.
mm.
They didn't employ me to come and change their culture.
Yeah.
They've employed me to do a job. So I want to do the job. And sometimes some of us we go beyond what we're expected to do. Okay. And then we start
Mm,
finding ourselves in getting ourselves into muddy waters. You don't need that. Just professionally complete your role, do your job, and
mm.
that's about it. Yeah. So that was what I would say about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing that. Anybody else wants to say anything? We're talking about um workplace culture, things that we find a bit funny.
Um, um,
Yeah, go ahead.
sometimes I'm unsure. I want to ask questions, but I'm unsure that people will judge me on the type of questions I ask. So I just don't know when to ask, what to ask,
Okay.
what should I not ask, so people won't judge me as an not competent for the job.
Okay. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's about you and your confidence, being able to build yourself, having confidence in yourself. Because whatever you do, people that are going to judge you are going to judge you. Whether you are the best person ever, everybody's ever encountered, they'll still judge you. People will say things about you. It's just natural. That's human beings will talk. They will say different things. All right. What is important is don't use people's comment to define your identity. You are who you are in your own right. People's comment and perspective does not shape you. You are who you are in your own right. Your value is being built before coming into any contact with people or even with the people in the work environment. We already have our own value within. So you need to feel comfortable in yourself. Now, if it's to do with communication, you've been able to ask questions, practice it at work, I mean, at home. Practice how you communication, practice how you ask questions, practice, you can practice it and get better at it. If you feel, oh, maybe I don't want to say it in a way that they won't understand, then start practicing how to ask some questions at home. All right. Start listening to your own voice. You can do audio and listen to how you want to ask a question about a particular area. Because what normally happens is that if you ask the question, it happens to me even now. I may ask a question that I've put it in a way that they don't understand, right? I have to quickly think again and speak the right language because every organization has their own language. If you understand their language, you are able to communicate and ask the question. So it's not about you, but it's about you getting it right in that setting. So what you can do is write those questions down at home, you know, and practice it at home as well. Think about what you want to ask in the meeting, and sometimes maybe you are not able to ask it while the meeting was on. You can do an email to everybody in the meeting afterwards. If it's something that is bothering you, or send the email to the right person, say, actually, after this meeting, I was thinking about this issue. Can you clarify? Can you let me know more? Or can we meet and you can tell me more about this particular topic or this particular issue? Because a lot of people will never say to you they don't know what is being spoken about at meetings. But I can say to you, there's so many people that don't really know anything, but they will not show it. They will not, their body language is not going to be showing that, oh, I don't really know what is happening here. You still have to show up and be there to listen. If you're not even going to ask a question, you listen, and then you're able to go back and learn quickly about the topic that has been discussed. Okay. Every single opportunity we have is a learning opportunity. I want everyone to think about that every time. We have our mindset has to continue to shift to learning. So I am learning every single time. I go to a meeting, there's a new word I've heard for the first time, I write it down. I go to a meeting, somebody's describing something I've never experienced, I note it down. So we're learning, it's a learning environment, excuse me. and it's learning and growth. Okay, so you don't need to feel that, oh, maybe I'm not able to meet up, or maybe somebody's going to laugh at me or whatever. No, 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 no. So that is, I hope that helps you, Philippa. So it's all about writing things down, practicing it yourself with your phone, reading about the minutes of the meeting before you go to the next meeting. All those things will help to give you confidence. The more information you get, the more confidence is built. Okay, so that would help. Does that help, Philippa?
It does. Thank you for.
Well done. Okay, let's go quickly now. So I'm just going to begin to wrap up now quickly, just a few minutes to talk about some advice I want to give to career returners. So if you are just coming back to work after a long time, I want you to look at these areas of things that you need to look at. The challenges are, you have rebuilding your confidence is always challenging. Understanding the workplace changes is also another area that will be challenging to you, and new technologies is always going to be the areas of your challenge. Yeah, I want you to focus on your transferable skills. Right, don't focus on the things that you are afraid of. Don't focus on the things that is new and you're going to have to learn. Focus on your transferable skills. That means the skills that you already carry, the skills that is already part of you, that you demonstrate every single day. Yeah, focus on those skills, and that will help build your confidence. For those that are in career, the switchers, those that are looking to go into another industry, I want you to know that the challenges that you have, ahead of you, will learning a new industry. You need to learn about that new industry. Okay, and you have to build your credibility, because remember, you've left one behind. You are starting afresh. You have to build your credibility. And my advice is, be comfortable being a beginner. Some people struggle with being a beginner. You've gone into a new industry, you are just learning. So be comfortable. You are just beginning. You are just starting again. So be comfortable with that. Don't get yourself into this iPass situation where you think, oh, I should know this better. I should, because I'm coming from a manager role. Now I'm going to another industry. Maybe I'm in the middle. I'm in an admin role there. But you are learning. So be comfortable with being a beginner. And then for newcomers, if you're just starting work, and you've never really done 9 to 5 before, you're just starting, what is the things that you need to think about? Is understanding workplace culture, communication styles that we've covered, and professional expectations. You need to have an understanding of all these areas. And we've already covered a lot of this tonight. And the advice is, keep observing, ask the right questions, and seek the right mentors to help you. Okay, these are very important. So don't forget our 30, 60, 90-day framework that we covered last week, is here. You need to, first 1 to 30 days, you are learning. 31 to 60 days, you contribute. 61 to 90 days, you lead. Okay, that's very important. And also, just to remind you as we wrap up now, our self-discovery bootcamp, we've started to sort of finalize the one for this month. Okay, if you are interested and you want to be on the waiting list for the next one, let me know. We have a waiting list so that you have enough time. And what I'm saying to everyone is, it's going to be quite intense. It's a small group with me. We're going to be covering a lot of areas to we discover yourself. You've gone through a lot already. You might have gone through grief, you might have gone through trauma, redundancy, you might have gone through so many things that makes you think, should I continue on this same path? I need something. I need to think about my options. I need to think about what's next. That is what we're doing on the boot camp, and you need to be part of it if that is you. Okay, we will break old limits, old habits, self-doubt. We work on confidence and purpose, all these things to help you with think about your direction going forward. So we have a waiting list. Let me know if you're interested. I'll send you a registration form and I'll put you on the waiting list, and then you will be able to know what is next. What are you going to do? What are we going to get from that session? You're going to gain clarity, build confidence, understand your strengths, and create an intentional and purposeful direction for yourself. You learn how to maximize networks and opportunities. That's what we're doing. And I'm excited. I'm praying that at least by the end of this year, we'll have a strong team of 10, by God's grace, that we will begin to see what we are doing and we can celebrate our successes, whether in business, side hustle, new role, new job. That is what my plan is for the year. Okay. So God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you joined for the first time, and I'll be here again next week. I'll send out the new topics as usual. If you want to join the Career Clinic Net WhatsApp group, community group, let me know, because from 1st of July, I will not be sending a lot of information out anymore. I'm just going to be focusing on what we have in the group. So if you want to join that group, let me know. Thank you so much tonight. Thanks for coming. And I hope to see you next week. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.